Hey y'all, happy hump day, right? Is it hump day? I think Wednesday. I've been going 33 directions, maybe 34. I don't know. Anyhow, I love you guys. How you been? We're getting back to, last week I came on here and I said we're going to do 5 days in a row. We're going to talk about the 5 P's, okay? And the 5 P's, see if I can remember them: your purpose, your passion, your path, your potential, and your progress, right? Okay, so we did purpose, man. That show was great, had a lot of people watching it, and I got really, really passionate toward the end of the purpose talk because, in life you got to find out what your purpose, why do you exist? Why were you created to be on earth? Now, you could have several purposes. You could have a purpose for your career in life, or your job, for your family life, for your volunteer work, whatever you do, right? And I talked a lot about the one thing, and I was referring mainly to my career, my real estate career, post motorcycles. Okay, a lot of guys, and gals that watch this show know that I worked in the motorcycle industry for 35 years, and I was passionate about that, and it was my purpose, at least for the last 25. Like the first 10, I was just young and mixed up in all kind of crap, and I was just doing it for money. But eventually, the purpose came forth, the passion came forth. So it could be purpose in your job, and even if you're working at McDonald's, you're serving, right? Our careers are built around service to others, and I didn't understand that for a long time. Like if you're working out of school and you're a teacher or even a janitor, you're serving the students or the community, right? You could be working in production facilities, manufacturing, something like that. You could be working along the roads holding a road sign flag, right? You're serving a purpose, okay? And you're helping others by doing what you do, okay? And it took me a long time to figure that out. Like in between motorcycles and real estate, I had effects using hand gestures. This AI, man, on these new devices, I'll tell you what, driving me absolutely, sorry, bad analogy, driving me absolutely nuts, right? Okay? So, I had this job working in a glass warehouse, and I worked there for a little while, and then I had to manage a bunch of guys, and I hated it. I just hated it, and I used to come home and complain to my wife all night long. I was like, why does God have me here? What purpose am I serving? She says, well, maybe you can make a difference or be an example to some of the other people that work there, because there was some real, they weren't bad people. They're just, their attitudes were all wrong. They didn't understand, they weren't taught. Okay, they weren't taught how to think properly, and so you got to find your purpose. What are you here for, right? Okay, and that could be, like I said, your home life, your relationship with your spouse or your kids or your job or your career. Number 2, whatever you're doing, get passionate about it. And my passion message got messed up because our friend Mr. Charlie Kirk was assassinated the day I was supposed to do passion, and that really just. And I didn't know the cat that well. I'd listened to him talk. I knew what he stood for. I stand for the same things, right? Okay. And I've listened to more of Charlie's stuff since he was assassinated than before he was. And I really like the guy. He was a good dude. And it's a shame. And keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. But, my passion message really my head was whacked that night. I was just reeling from what had happened that day. But one analogy I did use that night was there's a book that I read called by a guy named Frank Bettinger, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. And he talked about being enthusiastic in everything you do, about being passionate in everything that you do. Well, one of Frank's, he was an insurance salesman, all right? And he sold more to big corporations and businessmen, executives, New York City area, okay? And his line was, I can do something for you today that no other living person can. Well, what's that, Jim? Okay, and then the conversation opens, and then whatever you do, right? Okay, and just communicate with people. So, but even Zig Ziglar, Zig's whole message is you got to believe it before you see it. It's about happy, healthy. I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm in charge and energized, right? You got to be passionate. Zig was the same deal. He got into sales and was failing miserably, okay? Until Dale Carnegie got a hold of him and taught him how to find his purpose, be passionate about what he does. So today we're talking about, that's just a little review, because I wanted to go 5 in a row, and then the Charlie thing happened, and then the weekend happened, and then I've made some changes in my career this week, so that happened, and it's still happening. So my path is changing somewhat, okay? So I want to talk to you about that, and I think in one of my recent, and I think I threw some other thing out there the other night, I don't even remember. You can go back and watch. Now, remember, these Jim Bull Talks are only on Facebook for 30 days. They can't handle all the material, all the, I'm missing the word right now, all the content, okay? So they're leaving them up 30 days and then they take them away. I should be doing videos and putting this on Rumble or YouTube or somewhere else, and I might start doing that, but I gotta get caught up, get my feet back under me to do that. But I want to talk to you about your path today. So you gotta have a purpose, right? You're gonna find your purpose in life. You're gonna be passionate about that, right? You gotta be passionate about it. If you're gonna be successful at it, okay? And that's not always equated to money, but many times it is. But you know, if you're gonna have a successful relationship with your partner, right? You gotta be passionate about that. And I'm not just talking about in the bedroom, you know. So today we're going to talk about your path. And a message I put out recently, I do remember recently talking about if you aren't where you want to be in life, or if you discover that your purpose, and maybe it was on the purpose message last Wednesday night, if you discover that your purpose is different from the path that you are on, change it. Just change it. Figure out how to change it. I don't care how old you are, what your financial status is, you know. I got a call coming in, I'm gonna let go to voicemail and then I'll grab it. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. If you find that your purpose is something different than what you are pursuing, then please change your path. Now, I'm going to talk about my career purpose my career path a little bit today, which is real estate now, right? Okay, I worked in the motorcycle industry 35 years, all right, plus, okay. I do some volunteer stuff, but my purpose now is serving people through the real estate industry. I help people buy and sell homes and land and property and commercial and business and all that. I've been doing that for 18 years now, and it's always been a combined effort within the motorcycle industry. I always owned other business. I had a lawn mowing business. We own a restaurant or ice cream shop, whatever. We got another thing we're launching here, you know. So entrepreneur, I guess, okay? But my purpose, I want to talk about my purpose and my path, like, and I wasn't necessarily going down the wrong path in my real estate career, but I wasn't at a T in the road. I was at a Y. I came to a Y. And it's like, do I continue on the same path? Whichever direction that it would be, left or right, okay? Do I continue the same path? Or do I pursue another path, okay? And after thought with my spouse, after prayer with the divine creator, after some research about the company, the new company I was considering traveling in their direction on, talking to my current broker or brokerage, okay, about where we were at, I decided to change my path. Okay, now, before we go any further, props to the path I was on. My broker there gave me everything that I pretty much needed. She gave me an office space. She gave me support. She, both in my personal and professional life, okay. She was had a great attitude. She was a business person, smart, okay. But she's just on a little different path professionally than what I feel I need to be on, okay. Because in real estate, you can travel different, you know, residential, commercial, buyer agency, seller agency. Some do both. I do both. Okay, she was on a different path, commercial, let's say. I'm more residential, and locations and just ages and time frames and where we were at in our careers. So I chose a different path. Now I'm 61 years old. If I can choose a different path at 61, you can choose it at any age. And I don't want you, my main message is, once you discover your purpose, okay, why you exist, what do you really want to do, why are you here, okay, and you get passionate about it, then you got to figure out how you're going to get there. And a lot of people say, man, I would do this, but, or if only I had all this money, or if only I had all this time. Well, guess what? You got to make it happen. Like, I remember in the motorcycle industry, I lost my job due to a business changed hands, and the new owner and myself, I was a little bit strong, my personality type, and I had a lot of experience, and I was like, he wanted to do things his way because he owned the business, which that's why you own businesses, right? And I'm like, no, that's not how it's done. So we parted paths, and I found myself working in that glass warehouse, okay? And I forget where I was even going with that. Found myself working in that glass warehouse. Oh, I know. And I was like 48, 50 hours a week, okay? The kids were, what? I don't know, maybe 6 and 8 at the time. Okay, they were still young, all right? And we were just getting by. I'll tell you what, we were just getting by, just barely enough to get by, okay? And it's like, but I want to get back in the motorcycle industry. I want to own my own business within the motorcycle industry. How do you do that? I don't have any money in my savings account. I don't have any extra time. I don't have, blah, 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 a million excuses, right? I could come up with, all right? But I searched, so I found the right opportunity that fit my purpose, that fit my passion. And, I remember those nights. I remember when we started the magazine, the motorcycle magazine covering amateur racing, Motorcycle Racing Action. Now, that was a little newsletter I bought from a guy that already existed. And when I bought it, Larry, great guy, he told me, Jim, it's a great side income, but you'll never earn a living doing it. And it was a side income for him to pay for his son's motorcycle racing activities because he worked in the printing business. It made sense for him, okay? Larry, great dude, and they started a great thing. I don't even remember their last names anymore. This was a long time ago. And because of my passion of, number one, wanting something of my own, and number two, not wanting to work anymore where I did. Remember I told you I didn't like that job a whole lot, okay? I would stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, working on my magazine, and I would go to the races on the weekends, and I would go to work Monday through Friday for 8 or 10 hours a day, okay? A dog tired, but guess what? Guess what? In a year and a half, I was able to quit my full-time job, scared to death, all right? I just cold turkeyed it, man. I walked away. And I wasn't making enough yet with that little magazine to really support my family, but I knew the only way that I ever could is if I changed my path and put the passion meter way up and charge, right? And just go for it. I was like, so if my kids were, I was probably like 26, probably like in my early 30s at that time. I know I was like 32, 33 years old. Now, you can do that at 22 or 32. Charlie Kirk, a young man at 19 said, you know what? He tried to get into West Point and got turned down. He said, you know what? I'm just going to start my own deal. Grew it to a big, and he said, Jim, I don't have those skills. I don't have those talents. I don't have the, learn them. Time. One thing I've learned is time will pass you by. 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're going to look back and say, whoa, I stayed on that same path and I'm still hating life, still broke, still, or I made this change and life was blah, blah. And I'm not saying, I know a lot of cats that are my age that I look back and they work the same job all their lives. And I thought, how can you possibly stand to do that? How can you go to that same place and do that same, to me it was a mundane task, but maybe it was their purpose. Maybe they were passionate about it. But these guys are retired, they got 7 motorcycles, a cabin in the mountains, a boat, a beautiful wife, kids, grandkids, and they're happier than pigs, and you know what? But they found their purpose. My purpose was different, okay? So, look, Jim Bull, my feed's blowing up, my purpose, my real estate career is blowing up around me. But I'm hoping that this message made sense to you guys. So we've talked about finding your purpose. We've talked about getting passionate about it. And now today we talked about finding the path that's going to allow you to realize those purposes and passions for your life. And trust me, you can do it. If you need help, reach out to me. I'll help you any way that I can. I might not be able to, but I'll try. I'll give you my advice for whatever that's worth. Okay? But know that if you're passionate about something else. Remember, I was passionate about getting out of the job that I worked at, and passionate about getting back in the motorcycle industry, and passionate about owning my own business, okay? And that's what I bought a publishing company within the motorcycle industry. All I knew was racing, motorcycles, bikes, Had some connections from my previous 10 or 12 years working in the industry, growing up riding, things like that. But I remember I went to my wife, she had a 35 millimeter camera that she got for a graduation gift from high school. I had no clue how to work the thing. My job was now to go to the track and take pictures of people racing motorcycles. I'd shoot 3 rolls of film. Yes, kids, there was no digital cameras back then, and phones did. Believe it or not, there was no camera in your phone. Oh, we didn't even have, we might have had cell phones. I don't remember. Look, I'd shoot through 3 rolls of film every weekend to get 3 or 5 good pictures that I could maybe use. Writing skills, are you kidding me? I quit school in 10th grade. English wasn't my, you can tell when you listen to me talk, right? Okay, I'm trying to polish that up a little bit like a turd, you know. So my point is, I don't want to keep going on here because I do got to get back to work. But my point is that if you have a passion, especially today with YouTube and Google and the internet, you can read. Learn, yeah. Books are the cheapest and best education that you can ever give yourself. All right, I'm a Charlie believer there. You don't need college, but if college is your purpose or your passion, take the path. All right, take the path. It's up to you. You got to look in the mirror. You got to talk to yourself. You got to pray. You got to talk with your peeps, right, with your tribe, and say, "This is what I want to do." And sometimes I give you one little bit Jim Bull pro tip. All right, Jim Bull pro tip. Sometimes the people closest to you will be the ones that'll tell you, "Never work, Jim." One more example. So like when I was still working in that original dealership, had just gotten married, I'd living in York County, okay? I'd lay in bed at night because they had just shut down Tower City or something. Y'all remember Tower City? We used to go there and ride. You'd park and unload your bikes and climb them big cold hills all day long and roll back down and get up and do it again, right? Okay, good fun, right? Okay? I would lay in bed at night. How can I come up with 500 or 1,000 acres in Potter County, all right, fence the whole thing in, I'd put a motel, a pro shop, a restaurant, and I was going to kill it. And I let everybody I knew tell me, "Oh, Jim, you number 1, you'll never get permission. Number 2, you'll never buy insurance. Number 3, who do you think you are? You don't have no money, Jim. There ain't no way that people are going to put up with that, Jim. There's no way that will ever work." Tell that to Reading Anthrax. Tell that to the AOAL. Tell that to Rock Run Recreation. Tell that. I could go on and on and on and on. The number of people that duplicated my business idea when I was 26 years old, laying in bed in the middle of the night trying to figure out how can I make my passion or my purpose become a reality, and I was too scared to try and figure it out, and listen to too many people who were like really close to me saying, "Jim, who do you think you are?" I love you guys. Have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Share this message around. Find your purpose. Get passionate about it. Pick a path. Tomorrow we're going to talk about, maybe the next time we come on, we're going to talk about how's your progress. What kind of progress, or no, that's the last one. I'm sorry, potential. What is your potential to pull off your passion and your purpose? Love you guys. Later.